Welcome to another edition of the Mexican Soccer Show. Mr. Cesar Hernandez and I are back on these live shows. Cesar, what's up, sir?
Hey, Wiso. Thanks for being patient with me since I just showed up. What, like 3 minutes ago? Amy sent me a text that my Wi-Fi was acting weird, so I'm glad to now finally be seated. Glad to actually be I don't know, talking about Mexican soccer pretty soon because there's definitely a lot we got to dive into. But I had to set this all up. Showed up a few minutes late.
We got it in. We already got the people on watching us. Welcome to all. If this is your first time on the Mexican Soccer Show, we love to have your comments on, and we'll start very soon. First of all, Cesar, did you rearrange your background? Is that I
did, right? Do you like it? Okay, so we got the UCSC flag over there. Okay. I got
slugs.
What was that? Yeah, banana slugs. Fighting banana slugs. No known predators.
You're on the motto.
Yeah. Never make it to any of those NCAA competitions, but I still gotta support my
sports.
So the fun thing is, I remember. So this says a lot about how UCSC feels about sports. But I remember when I first went there, I was like, oh, I'm pretty good at long distance running. I'm going to join the cross country team. Turns out they do not have a men's cross country team. There's a cross country club, running the hills like the hippies that they are. But no, not really. They got the good soccer team, but yeah, not exactly known for their athletics.
All right. So what did you have back there? You have your Mexico scarf.
Yeah, I mean that's about it. It's the UCSC. I move the scarf a little bit. It's the UCSC flag that really changed it, and also the Santo y la Tigresa poster I had to change actually because it was a little.
Is that your Fabian personalized picture?
Yeah. Do you?
Hold on, dude. I think I have one. Hold
on. Yeah.
Wow. See that? Everybody point to it, Cesar.
Yeah.
See right there? This is Fabian de la Mora, who didn't know he came on a show on Ask Cesar.
Yeah.
And we got to hang out with him for a day.
That was super cool. That was super cool.
He was a really, really cool guy.
Yeah, he was definitely super chill. Hanging out with him and was that Luis Hernandez too? Was it was pretty cool.
Yeah, he was also pretty cool. All right. Well, enough of non-soccer talk, but that's pretty cool that I saw that. I'm like, hey, that looks all organized. So,
wait a second.
We already have a question on the chat already saying, can Leon beat Toronto tomorrow?
So we'll get there. We'll get there. Patience.
We'll get that. We got this. All right after the fight. Let's go in there, but we're good. All right. We got lots to talk about. And we're already getting, good evening. Happy to have you guys back on Monday nights. Thank you. We're trying to find a time where we can get on, being respectful to our friends at the Lions Den podcast who are finishing a show right now. So I know Kari really well. And we're like, hey, we don't want to be around the same time. So you can consume Leon and then, come over here. I mean, if that's what you want. And then, so it's lots of cool stuff. But we have a great show for you today. We'll be talking all about the Mexican national team, what happened last week, positives and negatives, what's going forward. Since CCL is back, I'm excited for that. Cesar's going to give us a little preview of what he thinks. And yeah. And then we have another one. We have Two Balls and a Mic is starting right afterwards. So you can just go from the Lions Den to the Mexican Soccer Show. And
my dudes, Two Balls and a Mic. They're from San Diego. There's a good dudes. They sent me a beer mug recently. They sent me some stickers as well. So shout out to Two Balls and a Mic. Yeah.
There you go, guys. All right, Two Balls and a Mic. That's a cool name. All right. Okay, so so we have lots to talk about. We'll try to keep it under an hour. And again, your comments, your questions, we'll try to answer. So our first already podcast BBN wants to know, and we'll get to it right now. But let's talk about what happened, Mr. Chucky Lozano, right? Mexico versus Costa Rica on the very, very second game where, well, we kind of, after the very first game, Cesar, we weren't, a lot of people were just saying it was a mess. It was one of the worst games that we saw after we came on here, but they got the win. And I guess I saw a little bit more of a better El Tri once the subs came in, but that first half was kind of awful too.
Yeah. And if you're kind of like the stats nerd that I am, you'll look at some of the XG from that game and you'll see, all right, Mexico's XG in that first half was 0.33 and Mexico's XG in the second half was 2.05.
So basically, what is that?
So basically, it's expected goals. It's like how many
Okay,
like
all
to,
right. There you
to
go.
every yeah. So it's expected goals like what Mexico should have had right there. And if you don't even have to look at the numbers to realize that just by watching the game, Mexico looked entirely different in the second half. Orbelin made a big difference. Linus was pretty impressive as well,
Mhm.
and Chucky got the deserving game winner. I thought actually he had a decent game. Like it's tough for him like playing as a false nine. Then he went over to the wings. I think it was a little difficult for him to maybe transition to that. But I thought he had a good game. I was pretty impressed with him, worthy of getting the game winner. And yeah, I mean that second half really changed things up because it went from like, oof, we saw the game against Wales. Are they going to struggle again? Are they going to have issues against this, against a CONCACAF opponent that we're probably going to see what 4-5 more times this year? So it was good to see Mexico eventually get the game winner. And it's also important to note, there was no true striker. That had some experimental 11 after having a little bit of a different 11 the previous game. So no, I'm not too bothered. Could have been better, but I'm not too bothered.
Yeah, no. I saw a little bit of what happened in the last game where Mexico just could not break that bunker. I mean, we're gonna start seeing
Yeah.
that in CONCACAF, and I want to, it's preface to the fact that that's what we're gonna see. Like, it's
Yeah,
great that we
exactly.
went against
Yeah.
Wales. They were able to beat Tata, and he said we talked about it last week. He said mostly is all the things offside the field that impacted. But then Costa Rica came. If we don't win, these are the games we have to win against CONCACAF because all they're going to do is sit back. Now, Costa Rica wasn't that much of a threat, but it kind of struggled a little bit. And now the tense of we can't beat CONCACAF teams, but they were able to get the win. You saw such a huge change from the players that are playing, and we'll be talking a little bit. See if Amy in production can put us the video that Tata said about MLS, but. You saw the players that are playing and the players that are not playing, right? And you saw the
Yeah,
big
exactly.
difference. So once you brought those starting players that are going to get those minutes and that have been playing their teams, it was a totally different game. I completely agree. These 2 games of Chucky Lozano, huge games, because often Mexico gets criticized, or at least these players of this generation, and we hear where is that player that plays with heart? And
Yeah,
I hate those conversations. But and I don't want it to mistake it for like, a peleonero or someone that's out there intense. But Chucky in the first game, he's fighting with everybody because he was just he really wanted it. And then in the second game, you could just see how he's above everybody. He's above everybody in that. And he's also he had a great game. But I kind of want to see, and I don't know what you think about this, but I kind of want to see Chucky, and this is not going to happen anytime soon, but I was watching Cuauhtemoc Blanco in like the Libertadores, and just his demeanor, how everybody
Yeah.
tried to use to get him mad, and he was just so calm, but he got everybody really mad and really pissed. Like, I could see Chucky almost taking that step of like,
Yeah.
this I'm here not to fight with everybody, but you're not gonna let. I don't know. It was just.
No, I think that's actually the first player that came to mind was Blanco, because it's good to have those figures every now and then, ones who are not only going to get fouled a lot because of their style of play, because of how the creative they are in the final third, but also willing to give back a little bit. We saw that against Wales. We saw that in this recent game against Costa Rica. Like, yeah, Chucky is getting fouled. He's getting knocked over a lot, but he's also dishing back some of those fouls too, and that's good. And I love that energy. I really love that energy and that intensity. So I'm a big fan of that. I mean, I think a lot of people will just focus on him getting the game winner, which was a good one. But yeah, no, we like you said, we need that player who just who's willing to to rough up some players a little bit.
Yeah, no, there's a difference between somebody that's always fighting, and then somebody that just at times when he was frustrated, he was trying to go all out, and maybe the frustration got of it. But in this game, I mean, you saw what he was doing. Are there anybody else that stood out for you on that game?
Oh, yeah.
You were like, okay,
Yeah, I mean, we've already mentioned him, but Orbelin
Orbelin?
was incredible, especially since I thought he was kind of average against Wales, and then as a sub, he was just incredible. Like, he was really, really incredible as a sub for Mexico, and probably had, even though he was only on the field for 27 minutes, he was probably had the most impact in the final third. I like Linus. I thought he played well.
Yeah.
Luis Romo, I thought he played well. Tecatito played well. Obviously, Chucky. Arteaga, I like Arteaga as well, and I think it's going to be interesting to see if he can potentially steal minutes from Gallardo at that left back spot. But yeah, obviously you want some other figures like Pizarro to step up, maybe Eric Gutierrez to step up. They didn't exactly have the best games, but overall, I mean, not too bad from
Good,
opening.
good, good. Again, I think this is good exercise for Mexico to go and travel.
Yeah.
Raul Jimenez was able to be there with the team, and like we talked about, this is Tata trying to get to know the players, trying to have
Exactly,
meetings
yeah.
with players, trying to figure out what it is. And one thing I like, that was asked to Tata, and we'll talk about right now, is about the MLS players, and it's something that I want to get your thoughts on. Lots and lots of people were mad. They were just kind of like, why are these players here? What, look at what Pizarro did. In fact, I was getting at all the time because I said, look, Pizarro's going in, but Pizarro didn't have a good game.
No, he didn't
play. I thought Jonathan did okay. It wasn't like
Jonah was fine. Jonah was fine. I mean,
horrible.
we've seen better from Jonah, but he was okay. He was fine. Yeah.
And it's been said, why are the MLS players, brought? Why? What are they gonna do? I just forgot the kid that debuted.
Efrain.
I thought he did really well. I thought there was almost a
he's good.
He's good. So here is Tata talking about that. The MLS players was questions. Why are you bringing them in? They're not in season. What's going on? I thought you had the players that needed to be in there that are playing well. And then asked about Efrain. And this is what he said.
Bueno, lo primero que creo que hay que separar uno de otro, ¿no? Efraín es un chico muy joven, que siempre es bueno tenerlo cerca, conocerlo, saber cómo entrena, cómo vive, cómo piensa. Por más que haya entrado 15 minutos, creo que lo ha hecho bien. Era un momento difícil del partido, el partido estaba 0-0. Y más allá de que el gol fue de una pelota parada, hay que pensar que nosotros encontramos el gol con Diego y con Efraín adentro de la cancha, ¿no? Que son dos chicos muy jóvenes, y eso creo que es un aspecto positivo.
He says that right there, really just at the top, right? I mean, the goals are important. That then when they came in is when Diego was there, and when Efrain was there. And if I'm not mistaken, Efrain almost scored, or was it an assist? Now that I'm kind of getting them jumbled up, but
he was having an impact out there. Yeah.
Yeah, he's having an impact, which is good about the youth. So he says that. So I that was pretty cool.
Yeah, no, I thought.
Que su...
Okay.
Go ahead.
Oh no, I thought it was interesting that he brought up it's good to see to know how he's training, how he thinks, and I like the fact that he praised him as well for his second half appearance. And I was just gonna say I think he's worthy of praise. Wasn't an incredible talent out there, but at the same time he was only a substitute, so only had limited minutes.
Yeah.
Vuelta a la selección tendrá que ver como de acuerdo a cómo está su proceso en la MLS y las posibilidades que él aproveche dentro de un equipo como los Galaxy, donde tiene mucha competencia, y entonces eso, bueno, evidentemente su desempeño allí lo puede seguir acercando a la selección. En caso de Rodolfo es un futbolista de selección mayor.
Yeah, this is where I asked Rodolfo didn't have the greatest of game, and why did you bring him up? And he kind of answers where he is a L3 player.
Yeah, exactly.
Como yo les digo a ellos, nadie se queda afuera definitivamente, ni nadie se gana un lugar definitivamente por tener a lo mejor un mal partido o una mala gira.
Yeah, so saying that nobody's going to be out of the national team if they have a bad 2 games or a bad spell. And I think specifically with Rodolfo, because a lot of people didn't like the way he played.
Exactly, yeah.
Pero como todo el resto de los jugadores, también tenemos que entender que tanto a Efraín como a Rodolfo, como a Jonah, como a Alan, los sacamos de la pretemporada con apenas algunos partidos amistosos, y en el caso de Jonah, que por ejemplo me parece que hizo una hora muy buena, está claro que no tenía el ritmo como para jugar los 90 minutos. Nosotros incluso lo contemplamos, esa posibilidad.
So that's mostly Tata just kind of saying that, yeah, we knew that they weren't going to have, they're going to be there. We weren't going to use them for a full 90 minutes, but we still wanted to see him play, and they're not descartados like people say.
Yeah.
Playing MLS.
And I like that he was basically saying that just like no one's out of the conversation. And I like that when they asked him about where we brought up Pizarro, the first thing was essentially said just like, well, he's a national team player, like he should be in the conversation. It was interesting for him to note that, yeah, he said like Pulido, like Jonah, like Efrain, they're still in preseason. Like Pizarro, they're all still in preseason. I thought that was interesting for him to note that.
It's definitely very important. So we'll see what happens with obviously with the MLS, with all the MLS players, which is probably like the drama that came around. Why bring them in? But we'll do that.
I'm sure for a lot of reporters too, it gets a lot of clicks as well. Like you're focusing like, of course, like if any players are struggling in MLS, like yeah, I think there's some people will recognize that they'll be able to garner some headlines, being like, oh, ¿por qué like Pulido está here? Like, why is like Pizarro here if he's like struggling? But I like how Tata was very diplomatic about it, and I like also how he brought up with Efrain that it's with Efrain, he's still fairly young. He says he's wanting to see how he plays and how he trains. But it was interesting for him to bring up the Galaxy as well and how there's be competition for Efrain, because I think unlike other players here, like Efrain still has a lot to prove. He really has a lot to prove. Yeah, he got his first MLS goal in 2020, but I don't think he hit the high expectations that we really had for him. So this could be a very, very big season for Efrain, not just for MLS, but he's now the national team conversation. If he wants to, continue getting those call-ups, he's going to have to play at a higher level.
Yep, definitely. Well, there you go. We have a question from, I think it's from Twitter, saying, we'll bring it back. Funes Mori, he part of the conversation. To you, Cesar. Yeah. Right now, Funes Mori doesn't have his passport, his Mexican passport, which he can't start doing the talking to FIFA and getting all that, so he can't necessarily be part of the conversation. But let's say he does. Funes Mori, yes or no?
I mean, yeah, I think he's number 2 in line after Raul Jimenez. I think if you ask me, would I rather have Funes Mori, or would I rather have Macias, or would I rather have Henry Martin or Chicharito or Pulido or Santiago Munoz? Like it's I think for me it's Funes Mori. I think Macias has a potential to surpass him as a striker, but as of now, I'm choosing Funes Mori.
Yeah.
How do you feel, Weiss? I don't know, because I think that's how I feel.
We'll talk about the obviously naturalizados. It's not anywhere. We've had from the Guille Francos to the Neri Castillos to he was born in Mexico. I mean, we've always had the Cinia. To me, a naturalizado, it's if they're Mexican and they got the passport, and
if they're Mexican, they're Mexican. If the law says that they're Mexican, they're Mexican. Like I don't see what. Yeah.
And I mean, some people are like, oh, they just want to be Mexican so they can play. And I'm like, well, is this like a very patriotic thing? It has to be for Mexico, or like I don't know. Like I to me, sometimes we get way too in this. Well, you have to be Mexican because what is Mexican?
Yeah, exactly.
Like we get into the very patriotic talk where like. Somebody said el mexicano nace en cualquier lado, like what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
We've seen that, my
was that the sing? I forget what singer. What was that? Yeah. Chavela Vargas who said that? I forget, but yeah.
My half sister lives in Poland, who like barely speaks Spanish, and she considers herself Mexican. It's like, and she's never been to Mexico, and she roots for the Mexican national team, and it's like, yeah, okay, yeah, she's Mexican, I guess. If she can play for the national team, go for it.
Yeah, it turns into like a really touchy subject sometimes, but I think in the end, I think for me, I think we're on the same page. It's like if the law says you're Mexican, I don't care like where you were born. Like if you have that passport, if you have all the right documentation, sure, call it. And if you want to, yeah.
It's not like anybody could be in there, right?
Right.
Yeah, you have to be playing in the league and all that stuff. So, and we're not the only national team. In fact, many national teams do it. In CONCACAF, they do it, and it's all right. So for me, we don't have a player like Funes Mori that's Mexican. Sorry, at all. So
I think Jimenez is. I'd rather. I mean, if it was, it's Jimenez. Jimenez is better. Yeah, Jimenez is better. But I think within Liga MX, no. I would say no. I would say no. Yeah.
Robert just wanted to throw El Chucky Lozano. El Chucky Lozano.
Did you hear the new Chucky song? I think Carlos Eustace, like our friend of the pod, he posted it. I don't even. It's like, how does it go? It's like and it was like a Euro dance kind of like vibe
Yes.
to it. Yeah, I don't even. I look it up. Just look up. Carlos. I think he posted it over the weekend, but it's like this. Yeah, it's like El Chu Chu Chu. I can't even recreate it, but it's
All right.
incredible,
Well,
man. It's absolutely
we'll find
incredible.
it. We'll tweet it. Yeah, I kind of saw that. Like, and it's an Italian, like an Italian fan, right?
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
the
yeah,
Lupi Lozano chance.
yeah.
Nice, nice, nice. All right. What do you guys think on the comments? Funes Mori, if he's allowed to play, would you have him right now? What, if he's in, what line is he in? If it's in the line of strikers that we have, in what place? For me, yeah, me and Cesar agree, right
Mhm.
underneath Raul Jimenez. And that's where he's at.
Yeah, agree.
We'll see.
Agree.
Mexico, I'm sure is going to, what I hear, they're going to announce a few friendlies that are coming up. The I don't necessarily think they're going to be here in April, so probably next month, probably at the end of the month, they'll announce some friendlies because the calendar is getting tight. So for all of you guys that are waiting, I think they're trying to see if they're going to have players. I mean, they have fans in the stand because it looks like most of the country's opening. I see sporting events already. I see concerts that are being put on. So I'm pretty sure from the last year that there were no fans. The Mex tour is probably going to start again. So be on the
Yeah.
lookout for that.
They still got to
And
fulfill. They're still trying to fulfill that some contracts. So they definitely
yeah,
have. They're trying to compensate for, not gonna say lost time, but also lost money. In the end from last year. In the end, this is all business. And what funds Altri Femenil, what funds some stuff. Within the youth national team structure, it's stuff like this. So obviously it's very complicated because you want people to be safe. You want people to be, socially distant and for them to have limited capacity at stadiums. But it does look like they are gonna, open things up, and we'll see what friendlies we have. Yeah,
it looks like they are checking in right now. All right, let's go into the other mini three, where yes, we had El Trio Olímpico got the first place, and it
were you
felt
about
like
to say? Were you about to say got the gold? Because I was thinking
Got
that
the
too.
gold.
It's like they got the gold. Wait.
They got they're number one. But wait a second, I feel like they were like a lot more happier than winning this whole tournament I saw than when they were when they got the qualification to get into the Olympics. Man, they were celebrating. Good for them though. So
Yeah, I mean that was intense, man. Because at first, because maybe I don't know how other fans felt, but like Ember, even like Kimberly, she was asking me about the game. She's like, "Oh, are you not like really excited about this fight?" I was like, "No, I kind of am, but there's already the game earlier in the day, and then it was like the first half. We're like, all right, we'll see how this goes." But it was obvious like the intensity like really started to crank up in the second half, and then once it went to penalties, I don't care if it's like a pickup game on a Sunday. Once it goes to penalties, like it gets really emotional. So I think that was probably part of it, and also just winning. I mean, as simple as it sounds, just winning a title, just winning a championship, getting used to the idea of making winning a habit, and just kind of having that mentality for the players as they not only go into the Olympics, but eventually over to the senior national team, into the World Cup. So it's a step forward in the right direction. I mean, Honduras isn't the most incredibly difficult opponent, but I think they actually did a pretty good job and made things.
Very difficult opponent. We went to penalty kicks. They weren't easy.
I know that's. I know. I guess I'm belittling them a little bit, but I guess in the bigger perspective, like it wasn't going up against France or Spain, but still, like I think this is a big step in the right direction for them, especially since. I mean, I don't know how you feel, Wiso, or how the other how the listeners feel, but I feel like it's really easy to think of all the players who shine for Mexico in this Olympic qualifying tournament, like Alexis Vega, like Cordova, like Antuna, Charlie Rodriguez, Vasquez, Aguirre, Malagon, Jurado. It's like it's really easy to think of a number of players I was really impressed by throughout the tournament.
Yes, it was like I'm impressed. I think for the tournament they did well. Obviously they won. I didn't think that the final was going to be that easy. I remember saying I think it's going to go to extra time or even PKs, just because Honduras I think has a good generation in what they're doing there, and they were able to see that, right?
Yeah.
They were to score. At no point did I think we were going to lose though.
Yeah, that's how I felt too. That's how I felt too. Yeah.
I was like, I think they're going to counter, they're going to score, and then I feel like player and the talent that the players have, and they were understanding what they wanted to do. So I for me, I mean, with Alexis Vega and Antuna doing, sometimes we go, well, Antuna isn't ready for Liga MX, but then, they play other oppositions and he does really well. So against weaker
Yeah.
CONCACAF teams, and I'm sorry, but sometimes we're going to be facing qualifiers against CONCACAF team, and if Antuna keeps doing what he's doing, let him play. I mean, he's doing well.
It's like
I know Chivas fans that you guys hate that what doesn't he do this, but we if we're able to qualify in caminando like Faitelson said in 2010, 2009, no 13, then we need players like Antuna. Then go for it. Like that way, we're not stressing out.
Yeah, and especially like there's something like Tecatito like about Antuna, at least when it comes to playing for the national team. I don't know. Obviously, Chivas are a different conversation, but there's something Tecatito like about him, not liked, but like about him.
Like he really likes to go on a
Yeah.
one-on-one take on. Sometimes it's good. Sometimes, but
you need those. I mean, against like really, really defensive, CONCACAF teams, you need those risk takers. You need those guys to be like, all right, I'm gonna do something a little risky, and I'm gonna maybe something I'm gonna lose the ball like 3 times out of 5. Of those 2 that he actually like sneaks past those players, that can create a goal. So you definitely need players like Antuna.
Really quick, a couple of comments. In San Jose, we're starting off the 20% fan base at the start of the MLS season per game. So referring back to what we were saying.
Mhm.
And then ultimately somebody said, asking, Mozo stock up or down?
Yeah. It's tough because you got to look at, I mean, at the right now, the depth at right back. You would say, is it Jorge Sanchez or is it Mozo who are right there? And it's just, I don't know. It's tough because I think they both provide something crucial for the future of the national team. But I don't know. I think I would still put him. The issue is I would still put them level, Jorge Sanchez and Mozo, and then just right past them is oh my god, why did I just blank out on his Shaka from Tigres? I don't know why I just blanked out on his name.
Shaka.
I think Shaka is still slightly above them on the depth chart, but I think Mozo and I think Jorge Sanchez are really, really close to surpassing him. But and I'd rather have one of them be a starter. But as of now, it's frustrating. But Shaka should still
hate
start.
Shaka, man. He's
it's ask Tigres fans. They're starting to get slightly bothered with him with some of his defensive mistakes. But yeah, I mean the issue is like I hate on Shaka too. But then he'll play like he'll play 2 or 3 decent games for all 3, and you're like, all right. I guess
Shaka is Tata's man, dude. So he's going to continue to be there. So we'll see. Jaime Lozano said, and we couldn't get the video on here, so sorry about this. But after the win, there was a lot of questions and what players, right? The 3 overage players. Lozano was like, we haven't even thought about that.
Yeah,
we're not thinking yet. The cool thing about it is that Tata said you can have any player. You can have any player from the national team. Like the priority is the Olympics and then the Gold Cup. So whatever players you need, we're in, which is kind of cool. The question of having maybe a Cesar Montes and a Diego Lainez in the Olympics is kind of like, well, do they need to go because they're going to take them away from the national, because those are national team players. And then also, it's so I think they're going to say they're going to assess everything in the next few weeks, and then that's going to come out. So interesting to see what overage players that we're seeing. I think me and you talked about it. Do we need a keeper? I think Hurtado did a great job. Do we want a defender, a mid, and a forward? We definitely need somebody up front. Do we want somebody carrying? For me, I would like a Luis Montes type of player that can drive. I mean, Charlie Rodriguez is there too and did an amazing job. But maybe somebody else in the defense, maybe somebody like Moreno. I know Salcedo was brought up there. So just it'll be interesting to see what players go.
Yeah, and especially since I think the easy part is having Tata and Jimmy Lozano on the same page. Like they both said like, all right, this is a priority. The Olympics are the priority. But the question is like, is it going to be difficult for the clubs to potentially let go of these players? And more so if it's maybe an Edson Alvarez, will Ajax be willing to, to let him go, to the Olympics? Will it be more difficult for a Diego Lainez, who's, still trying to find his form with Real Betis after, being out for a short amount of time recently? So I think the difficult team will be with the clubs, and it'll be interesting to see how that pans out, because maybe there's a big name that we want that won't be able to take part.
True. A couple of interesting questions that are coming in. Number one, Club Leon, who's in English, so our friends who are just in the Lions Den podcast said Chapito. That's true.
Yeah, I mean that's actually that deserves some attention, because I feel like a lot of us are saying the same names. Like I definitely say like Ochoa.
I keep saying Chapito.
Well, yeah, I mean, but you're a little biased though.
Yeah,
because
you're a little good to happen to him, man. Like he didn't go to the Olympics. But does this go into the question, Cesar? If you don't want to be on the national team, you can't be in the Olympics.
It's different though, right? It's different. It's different. Yeah, it's different.
Because Chapito said, "I'm done with the national team."
Yeah, I mean,
no to Tata.
I think it's different though, because like Vela is just like he's been like wishy-washy for like a few. There's like a lot more history there. Like I don't know. It's a complicated.
He's gonna
question.
go back. He already said no to Tata, and Tata said okay. And what he said about Carlos Vela, so that's why I think Chapito's not gonna be there. Chris Chavez says, if Lainez goes to the Olympics, does he start, or does Antuna have that on lock?
I think it's Lainez. I like that. I like that.
I know Lainez is doing great, and I'm a huge Lainez fan. I got his jersey. I got the Betis jersey. I love it. But tell me Lainez keeps doing what he's doing in the Olympics. Tell me he doesn't deserve to start, of what he did at that, Olympics. It'd be interesting. But you can also switch him on the sides too.
Also, you can have both too. You could potentially have Antuna and also Lainez in the starting 11. So I think that's also possible as well. But if I had to choose one or the other, I would say Lainez. Yeah.
Yeah. You got Colorful Kit saying, her friend, time to let it go. I don't know if he's talking about Carlos Vela. He probably is, or he's talking about Chapito. He says time to let it go. So a good friend, the Colorful Kid, who's got a great podcast and has done an amazing recap for the Mexicans abroad. I'm always looking at your recap, bro. So
or maybe he's talking about the Mexico jersey. I know that that's been something that's been bothering him a lot.
Maybe he has. It's the best, I think, the best Mexico jersey. This one so far. Vela. No, he says Vela. It's time to go.
No, I know.
Vela. Time to let it go. It's true. Man. It's true. We'll do that. Still starting in Qatar for sure. I don't know who we talk about, Luis. So if you want to put on there,
is it Vela? Let's bring up Vela. I'm kidding.
All right. But interesting. Well, there's gonna be lots of games. So there's gonna be. We'll see what happens in the Olympics. We'll see what happens with the Gold Cup. Then there's also the Nations League, and that's the first step we'll have against the U.S. I know people don't want the Nations League, but I kind of want to see the U.S. This great team that we're supposed to be, so much less because we don't have players in Barcelona, and we don't have players in Juventus. We don't have players at Chelsea, and this is going to be the big test.
I think so. Yeah, and especially since, I mean, bringing it all back to like the youth players and what we saw for the pre-Olympicos, like, yeah, you have U.S. men's national team fans like kind of grasping at straws by mentioning the minutes that their young players are getting in Europe. But I mean, look at Vega, look at Cordova, look at Charlie, Rodriguez, look at Malagon. I mean, look at Cesar Montes, who wasn't part of the squad, but I mean, those are players who could keep up abroad. Those are players who should be in Europe right now. So let's not pretend that like, there is no, youth. Yeah, it's difficult, but yeah.
Somebody did it. Take all the second passports and the Euro passports from all the U.S. players. How many players came from MLS? I think there's like, there's a reason why, there's players. Dest getting to Barcelona, that is definitely something big. U.S. players usually don't go to Spain because they can't get the EU passport as fast. Right.
So you're saying just like the quote, just like, Mexicans are born wherever we want to be born, whatever. Are you just telling all of us to move abroad somewhere, start families abroad in Europe?
EU passports, it'll be help. Culver Kiss and Push has more hamstring injuries than Mexicans in Europe. It's true. Did he just see him walk into like he walked and like I think was it halftime? He walked
It was
like 10 yards,
halftime.
and
Yeah,
then
it
he's
was
like,
half.
"Oh, I'm done." Look, should never make fun of hamstring injuries, but it's they're our rival, so we need that, right? So yeah, so lots of games are gonna happen in the summer. So we'll see.
Lots and lots and lots.
We'll
And then
see
we got
what's
World
starting.
Cup qualifying. We got
7 games
friendlies.
in World Cup qualifying, right? One against the US.
And that's
So
and remember it's a new World Cup qualifying schedule where you could potentially have, or not even potentially, it looks like we're gonna have
3 games in 1
instead,
week.
yeah, as opposed to 2 in a week, we're gonna have 3 in a week. And I think that's gonna be for 3 months and 1 month, like a non-busy month, which I think is gonna be November. That's the only time there's gonna be 2 games in a week.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be really, really busy.
Listen, if you look back at what happened in 2013 when we had the horrible 5-game stint, 3 games were played in 1 week. It went, I think, Jamaica tie, then another tie, then another tie away, and then those 3 games where it was like one at the Azteca and we had the Aztecaso. I think Costa Rica we played. Those 3 games were played in 1 week.
Dang, are you saying we're gonna run into problems again?
I'm not saying we're gonna run into problems,
Yeah.
but get used to not seeing the best starting 11.
Yeah.
Because if you're a coach and you have 3 games playing, right? Do you want to go with the best starting 11 and then have your backups on the second one, and then you're going to start playing against US? Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, it comes into the win all your games at home, at least tie away, and you're going to be able to get in, right?
And which is why it's important to see, you know, that the
Bouquet said rotaciones, like
which is and you saw the second roster for Mexico in the recent friendly, like that was very different from the first roster. You know, Tata was trying. I mean, yes, a lot of it was due to injuries, but Tata even tried playing with the false 9 in both games. I think that's why Mexico still took a step forward in recent games, because they needed to experiment, try something different, because you're going to have a situation in World Cup qualifying where it's going to be incredibly busy, and you're going to have to mix it up a little bit.
Yep. Our friend Escalac saying a number of U.S. players weren't developed in American academies. Some, like Des, were developed at European academies. MX academies are still very good. True. No. Yeah. I mean, Des, you know, somebody said it perfectly, and I know this is hilarious, and I'm laughing, and I kind of hated that I didn't come up with it. If everyone's talking about Des being such an amazing player, and somebody said if he was such an amazing player, he'd be playing for Holland.
Oh, but here, to be fair to Des, though, if he was 1 quarter Mexican, we'd be like, we gotta get him. We gotta get Des. I mean, come on. If Des was even partially like,
okay, I
would.
Career. I saw him when he was younger, before he got to Barcelona. I wasn't like, this kid is gonna be amazing. I'm sorry, Tecatito ran circles around him. So, and maybe I'm biased.
That nutmeg was pretty fantastic, wasn't it?
And it'll continue. It'll always be there as much as Barcelona.
But come on, if Des was Mexican,
win a Champions League. But there's Tecatito's nutmeg from 2019.
I don't know. If Des was Mexican, we would be stumbling over ourselves trying to figure out like how he could be joining like L3. 100%.
But
But
isn't it true if he was such an amazing player, he wouldn't be playing for the US?
Yeah, okay. I think he can make that argument. Yeah. But at the same time, though,
true. Sub said this is true, so we'll leave it at that.
We saw 1, said 0.
Sup is, I don't know who Sup is, but he said this is true. Cuffercat saying we play the US in November in America for well, yes, November. It's gonna be cold. I wonder. Take us wherever. We'll see.
We'll be there. There'll be a significant amount of Mexico fans. Take it to Alaska. There'll be a bunch of Mexico fans.
TCK Olympic qualifying equals domestic-based U23. It really shows which league is developing in national teams. It's true. As much as you're saying you have these young guys, you had 6 different, 6. I think somebody put. I think was it our friend Herc. He tweeted out, right, 6 different types of players that could be playing in this, but they're still having a problem with the Olympics. All right, we love to go out against the U.S. Just it always hurt that 2002 loss. So sorry. But we'll be there.
Why'd you have to bring up 2002?
I know, right? I know. It's what we do. It's what we do. All right. Well, we'll see. Mexican national team. Cool. Any last thoughts? Let's see. Look, a good conversation from everybody. Continue to give us your thoughts, and we'll put it out there. And
Yeah, I would like to have seen like I mean when it came to the senior side, yeah, like there's a part of you as a fan that wants to see 2 wins, and it always like hurts a little bit to see
Mhm.
those losses. But I think in the end though, this was about trying out I was say new flavors. I must be hungry or something. Trying out new players, trying out a slightly different system, and I think that we learned a little bit from it, and I think it's still a small step in the right direction.
Yes, yes, yes. CK to end it says, "I would like the healthy number 9." That's true. We always want
Yeah.
the number 9. Not that there, right? We'll see where Raul Jimenez. We saw him training, right? We saw him training
Mhm.
with. He's got his blonde hair. He's training. Hopefully, he gets back soon. So yeah. So we'll check it out. But the Nations League, we have qualifiers. We have summer. There's lots of games as we saw.
Yeah,
All right,
yeah.
switching over from the men's to the women's, who are about to go in Nejida. 2 big European games that were announced, and I know, getting to know some of these players from the marketing jersey, and seeing the reactions of this is a huge step, having some national team
Mhm.
games, and yes, Cesar.
Yeah, I mean, I like the idea, just like in the same way that Tata has like tried a different 11 in this game, different 11 in that game. In a sense, like you look at Mexico, like his feminine squad, and you see a little bit of a mixing up the roster. I mean, you see some players returning who have a little more experience, like Janely Farias, Renee Cuellar, and it's exciting to see how they can do up against European opposition in Europe.
Mhm.
You have, I know Slovakia isn't exactly a powerhouse, but I know it's a good chance to play against a different side in an unfamiliar venue. And Spain, that'll be the real test, and I'm very excited to be able to watch that game. Assuming that it's televised, I'm hoping both are televised. I'm not entirely sure, and I think the
Probably not.
Slovak.
Get to our side where we're gonna be looking for Facebook lives and
I
and
know,
all
right?
that.
Yeah,
You said
but
it's Spain and Slovakia. For those
yep,
that
yep.
don't know, they're
April
coming up.
10th, April 10th, April 13th.
Mhm.
But yeah, like I feel like just like that, I'm excited to see them test out, some different options, different players, and they brought back some veterans, and most importantly, just it's looking like they have a process, an idea, as opposed to last year we were just like, all right, are they going to play games? There's going to
Mhm.
be like camps? Is there going to be like what's going on here?
I'm a little biased because I'm really good friends with the Yaneli Farias, has been working on a couple of projects together, and I'm glad that she's back on the national team because we were supposed to do some stuff together in some projects. She's like, I can't. And this is how she told me. Like, I don't know. She goes, I can't. I'm gonna be flying because I'm part of the national team. I'm like, what?
You're like, what?
I was like, all right. I guess everything we had planned is done.
You're like,
And
I guess I'll allow that. I guess
so I'm
I
like, that's
guess I have to.
awesome. Someone like that. I know Renee Cuellar has been wanting to come back, and she's been scoring goals there at Cholos. Cesar. So lots of other veterans that are coming in, and seeing Monica Vergara.
Yeah.
There's a lot of talent, that's out there, switching some players and then going abroad. But yeah, so I'm excited to see obviously new tenor with Monica Vergara, and then seeing some of these players. I mean, and then seeing some friendlies, and hopefully we can get to see some friendlies in the national team. How cool would it be to have, a Mexico women's game and a men's game in the same day, doble jornada? You know what I mean? Like,
That'd be amazing. We've talked
Hopefully-
about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be amazing. Like, can you imagine? Like, even if it was, I mean, it doesn't matter where it's at. Like if you were to have like them playing the same day, the same venue, that'd be incredible too. And it's not, and obviously the pool isn't just the men's side, but of course the women's side too. What's been really exciting in recent years, and a lot of it is thanks to Liga MX Femenil, but a lot of these like women are becoming household names. A lot of these
right?
women are becoming like genuine, like well-known celebrities. So it's been really exciting seeing that develop. And yeah, if you could have those two play in one venue somewhere in the US, so in Mexico, like that'd be absolutely amazing.
It's like saying that'd be dope. Azteca doubleheader. Yeah, let's do it. And I'm thinking, I mean, they're there. Like, these games are pulling. The women's are having, the Clásico Regio. It's 50-some thousand fans. Can you imagine the national team playing there against somebody and having the Tigres, the Rayadas fans there? It'd be amazing. I'd be there in a heartbeat.
I mean, especially since the national team, at least when it comes to Liga MX Femenil talent, it is a lot of
it's
it's almost
a lot of the Tigres
Tigres
we're upset because some of them weren't there, but yeah, there's some injuries some of the Tigres fans. So anyway, yes, Femenil. For more info on the Femenil, obviously follow our football pod, who do an amazing job every week, Adriana and Amy. And yeah, it's getting excited. For those of you that don't follow the women's game, give it a shot. Really, just like we saw the sub 15, sub 17 World Cup, and you don't know any of the players at times, and you start getting to know them, and you start seeing their lives, and you see how talented they are. Be there and support. So, somebody just said that Vela today said he's opening the door for L3 call up. No, we already talked about this. We can't talk about Vela once again, but it doesn't matter if Vela wants to go. It's not going to happen anymore. We'll see. All right. What's next? What do we got?
Can you believe CCL is back? That's
CCL already?
Yeah. Here's the thing: is like, obviously, I love watching soccer. I love the CONCACAF Champions League, but it caught me off guard. I'm like, really? It's already back? Like, I was a little confused by the fact that it was already, maybe because I feel like I've been overwhelmed by maybe like baseball coming back and like trying to see what's going on, like all that.
It ended later, right?
I think so. Yeah, I think maybe
because they needed to get to the Club World Cup, so Tigres won.
I think it was a Club World. I think it was a Club World Cup because it feels like the Club World Cup just happened. I think that's why. And I think because the Club World Cup was delayed and we're used to it being in December, and then it was, like earlier this year. I think maybe that's why. Like, I still feel like, I mean, I still have the Fubo. I still have the game recorded of Bayern Munich versus Tigres, and I like to look at highlights every now and then. But it feels like it just happened. So it kind of caught me off guard. I was like, look at my schedule. I was like, dude, what? It's like, yes. CONCACAF Champions League, like it's already back.
And I knew it was coming back, and all of a sudden this week. Hold on a second. We'll get back to our CCL question, but I totally missed this comment, and I apologize.
Yeah,
I don't know if it said any Mexican going to move to Europe during the summer transfer. Before we get to the CCL, Cesar, just want to make sure we're answering this for our friends. I mean,
there's. I think the most obvious one, just because of the rumors and because he's having a good season, despite what some Chivas fans are saying, and because there's been no lack of like reports that he could potentially go abroad. I think this is the summer that JJ Macias finally goes abroad. I think it's well deserved. I think he's really proven himself so far this season with Chivas. I know a lot of Chivas fans feel a little bittersweet about how he's done so far this season. Think that, even though he's scoring, he's still not playing at his best. But I think he's the first player that comes to mind. And after that, I think there are a handful of names that could potentially go. I think Cordova. Yeah, Cordova is definitely the next one that comes to mind. I think Charlie Rodriguez. I still want him to be playing a little bit better for Rayados, but I think he proved a lot in Olympic qualifiers. But Cesar Montes, hopefully. But yeah, we'll see. But I think the first player that comes to mind is Macias.
For like last 5 years.
I know, right? I think Macias is easy. Macias is the easy one. After that, there's a handful of other names I think that could go about. Yeah. Even I know he's not exactly like an under 23 talent, but Luis Romo, fantastic player who really should be playing in Europe. So yeah,
and that's the thing. It's a little more and more expensive that we saw that, right? All right, back to it. Before we back to the CCL talk, our friend Alex Padilla, who is I think Latino, right, on Twitter says, "Saludos, compadres, tuning in while I'm in family law."
Wait, his username is just Latino? Is that what?
No, LAW Tino, I think.
Oh, Latino.
He's a lawyer, so
I thought it's just Latino. I was like, dang, was he like the first?
Did he sign up for Latino?
He signed up for Twitter like day one. He's like, oh yeah, Latino.
We have that. Are we gonna talk about Liga MX? Yes. As soon as we're on CCL, we'll talk about Liga MX up. We got it. Don't worry. Macias saying needs to go abroad. If he stays in Mexico too long, he'll be stagnant. It happens. Could see Cordova at Porto. Why not? But let him not stay there for a long time.
Hey, you know what, Porto? They make it far in the UEFA Champions League. So it's like tough because you want players to move on from Porto, but then again they're constantly in the knockout round. So it's tough. It's tough.
Chivas is going to ask for 40 million in the buying club to take a case of OmniLife products. Take some products. We're there with the CTK going in there and saying hi. Mexican reformers is at California. All right. Hello. Thank you for joining us. CCL. Going back to CCL. Cesar, it's here.
I can't believe it's already here.
The match, I would think that everyone's looking at Club Leon versus
Yeah.
Toronto, right? I mean, that's like the big match.
I want to ask you, how do you feel about it? Because I feel like this is the second year in a row where Leon's been put up against basically
Yeah.
the toughest opponent that you can have for being a Liga MX or MLS team, I guess you could say, because a lot of MLS teams have gotten a lot of Central American sides. How do you feel after like
True, right? Another draw. Last time we were there in Mexico City and they got LAFC, and then the disaster that happened in LAFC.
Or do you feel like no, whatever, like Leon are bouncing back now? There's a good opportunity for them to say, you know what,
great.
like
they're playing great football. I think one of the best teams outside. They're coming back. They won. Hopefully they learned from last year what happened with LAFC, not to take it lightly. There's no Carlos Vela in Toronto, so Bradley's still there, right? I mean,
yeah. I mean, Toronto are a decent squad. I mean. And the interesting thing is that they're there through the Canadian spot, not because of their accomplishment in MLS. I think they was supposed to be either them or Forge FC through the Canadian Championship. They were supposed to get this spot, and I'm still a little lost. I should probably know this.
Through MLS. It's just whoever.
It was through the.
It was through twice. You can go through.
It was through the Canadian Championship. It was supposed to be either them or Forge FC. I forget exactly what happened. I think there was some COVID-related issues where one team couldn't take part in the game. There was like delay in the championship game. So I forget. I guess long story short, Toronto went through. But they're still a decent squad. I mean, they finished. I think they were
hard. I mean, it's those games are hard. Hopefully, Leon can go through. Cruz Azul, who's having a great season, goes against Arca. I can't read it because it's so far away from my.
It's like Lou Dobbs when he was trying to pronounce that one city. Arcadia, yeah.
Arcadia.
Quits like what? Is that how the quote went from Lou Dobbs? Couldn't pronounce the Mexican city.
Olympia versus Club America. That's going to be a good game. Olympia.
Yeah. I think Cruz Azul, I mean, they're in a good moment, and they have enough talent in the bench to take care of the Haitian side. And I think for the Haitian side, I mean, they should be applauded for making it this far, and because they had to go through the CONCACAF League to qualify. But this is their first CCL, and they didn't even make it to the final for the CONCACAF League, and they lost the semifinal. I think it was 5-0. I forgot who. They lost 5-0 to on the CONCACAF League qualifier. So I think this shouldn't be too difficult for Cruz Azul. I think Monterrey, they have too much talent and depth to struggle against Atletico Pantoja. They seem to be decent in the Caribbean Cup, but I don't know. I think the Reals will be too tough. But I think the interesting ones are, obviously Leon and Toronto, and also America Olympia. I mean, Olympia, they're no strangers to the CCL.
Olympia's there. Olympia's surprised, so Dominica can't take it lightly. And hopefully go through. On the other side of the MLS, I didn't even look at it. What are the other teams in MLS that?
So I've got it right here. So Columbus Crew versus Real Esteli, Philadelphia Union versus Saprissa, Alajuelense versus Atlanta United.
Yeah, keep an eye on the Costa Rican, because Alajuelense has got a good team. They just won. They've been wanting to come back to CCL. They've been wanting to make a statement. They have Brian Reese, who's an amazing player. If there's a team out there that I can think outside of Mexico, MLS, I would say Alajuelense, La Liga, and see if they make a good run.
And they also have Portland Timbers versus Marathon. And I think, I have questions over Atlanta United, although their new manager seems to be, building up some hype for the team this season. So maybe they could do something special. But I think Columbus are going to go through. I mean, decent squad. Had a pretty good 2020 obviously, and they have someone like Zelarayan on the roster. Union were pretty good last year. Timbers should be solid as well. But I think for the two MLS sides that I have my question marks over are Toronto a little bit, just because they have to go up against Leon, and also Atlanta United, because I wouldn't be surprised if they were the only team that MLS
wins the CCL this year.
I mean, the Liga MX until I mean, all the Liga MX teams, they're all you gotta, despite some of these MLS teams.
This isn't. Would you say this is the best 4 teams
in MLS?
For Liga MX that are in a CCL?
Right now, I mean, Cruz Azul, yes. Leon right now, because the way they've bounced back and because of the current title holders, yeah, right now Leon are looking like Leon. I think
Yeah.
people are gonna dive into like their stats, be like, oh well, they've struggled this Liga MX season, but no, if you've been watching Leon, they're looking like Leon. So I think they're great right now. America are looking fantastic. Yeah, I mean, I would
That's
say
what I'm saying. I'm looking at those.
Tigres are missing. I think
Yeah,
Tigres are
Tigres.
missing.
You're right. Tigres are missing, but Tigres aren't doing that well.
Yeah, but I think because of how much depth and talent they
True.
have, that they would have no real issues with a lot of these teams. But yeah, I mean, Cruz Azul are an incredible run of form right now. America are an incredible run of form. Leon are looking like Leon, and Monterrey have a bunch of talent. So yeah, I mean, I guess I think the only
This is gonna be tough. This is a very, very tough year for any MLS. Like if it was someone
I
who was
think so.
last year, and we'll see what happened. Really quick, like I said, Canadian clubs qualify for CCL through the Voyager Cup. It's like a 14 cup, so that's how they made it.
Yeah,
in there.
the Canadian Championship. Yeah.
Yeah.
But definitely keep an eye. Like, yeah, I think Liga MX teams they're definitely still the favorites. But I don't know, keep an eye on Columbus, keep an eye on Philadelphia, and the Timbers as well. I mean, sometimes these MLS teams struggle, especially when essentially they're preseason right now. But I wouldn't be surprised if any of those three went far.
Yeah. No, especially Timbers. Like Liga MX team goes to the Timbers to go play up in Portland.
Yeah.
I think it'd be really fun. Oh yeah, but there's no fans yet. Never mind. I keep thinking about that. Like,
artificial turf. It'll be like playing against Xolos, and teams struggle the Estado Caliente. So
it's true. All right, Liga MX recap. We're already at 58 minutes in. Apologize.
Well, that's what we have. We talk about the Liga MX on Liga MX preview as well. Yeah.
Anyway, saw that they went to a 2014 Club World Cup in the U.S. the year before World Cup. What are you talking about?
Yeah, what are they talking about? I don't know.
Yeah, what are you talking about? So we'll see that. MLS won't win until Vela goes back with LAFC.
But speaking of Liga MX, I mean, really quickly, shout out to Cruz Azul. I know it's not like big, 3 or 4-0 wins, or it's not like by huge margins week in and week out, but they're getting the job done, and they now have 11 wins in a row. With that recent 1-0 win that they had, thanks to Cabecita. I mean, Cruz Azul are looking to be an incredible run of form. But of course, the question of Cruz Azul isn't how are they doing in the regular season. The question is what happens once they step into the playoffs, because we know what happens once they step into the playoffs. It's a different question altogether.
So Cruz Azul, everyone's talking about them. It's historic. It's going to be a great year. They need one more win to beat Leon, tie Leon, right? At 12.
I forget. I always forget what the record is.
Leon had 12. Yeah. So we'll see what it is. But I was just surprised Liga MX was back, and I'm like, oh, that's right, Liga MX is back. And Leon's being back to bring back. America continues to be in the second place in the standings, so America's doing well. I think this. I feel like this is where America all of a sudden just whoops and gets a championship.
Yeah, things are working with them under Solari. Solari has proven to, and I think a lot of people question him just because he, hadn't coached in Liga MX beforehand. But once again, there's it's good to have coaches from abroad come in, and yeah, he's doing an incredible job. You can't really have too many complaints, especially if you're an America fan and and you saw what they did against Chivas. So yeah, credit to America, credit to Solari.
As far as Liga MX standings, I told you at the beginning of the season, Atlas was going to have a great season. And it looks like they are. One loss in the last 5. When was the last time you said that about Atlas? But if you see in the standing, the top 8, Cruz Azul, Club América, Monterrey, Santos, Atlas, Puebla, Toluca, and León. What's surprising you in the top 8?
Obviously, Atlas, after some of the issues they had early in the year, but their defense is just looking better and better with each passing week. I think they were involved in a 3-2 loss, but I think it was against Cruz Azul. But now things are really working well for them under Diego Coca. Got to give credit to Puebla, who are now in 6th place. I mean, speaking of a manager from abroad who's now doing well in Liga MX, Larcamón has done an incredible job. And I always love to see him trying out his different formations, because I feel like for the most part, yeah, you see a lot of like 4-4-2s or 4-4-1-1s or 4-1-4-1s in Liga MX, and Larcamon's like, nope, doing like a 5-4-1, doing like a 3-5-2. I don't even know what to call it, but yeah, credit to Puebla, and especially for getting that win over Mazatlan, because I feel like that was the battle of which one of these sides is worthy of like being kind of a surprise team in a playoff run. Because you saw about Mazatlan, they've been a little hit and miss. Puebla, they haven't been perfect, but they've been, I think, exceeding expectations. But by getting that win over Mazatlan, I mean, they're definitely saying like, you know what, like they're going to be in the playoff conversation, and it's might not even be one of those teams that's like an 11th or 12th. They could potentially be top 8, top 6. We'll see about top 4, but yeah.
Again, the playoffs are crazy. So
yeah, right, yeah.
We'll see what happens. Subset. Obviously, I don't know if he's a Chivas or a Pumas fan. Pumas and Chivas should not even try to make it to the playoffs and just plan for the next season.
Yeah, it's pretty disappointing to see what's happening with Chivas. I mean, it looked like they were pushing for that game winner against Santos after Santos initially took the lead over the weekend. But I mean, they just, once again, I mean, it's just, I feel like capitalizing on those opportunities and capitalizing on those chances in the final third, I feel like that's nothing really new for them. Obviously it's a little bit tough too, because a lot of their players were involved in the Olympics. So is this Chivas with every player at 100%? Probably not. And is there no shame in, getting a draw against a really good side like Santos? Yeah, definitely not. But it just looked like they could have got the game winner. They just never did. They got that 1-1 draw with Santos.
Got it. We will see coming up next on the matches that are coming from Liga MX. Friday, April 9th, Pumas Necaxa. Who we got there? We'll start doing some kind of Atlético San Luis and Juárez, Atlas León, which I think is going to be an interesting game since Atlas is at. Yeah, let's see where León's at against a very good defense. Cruz Azul Guadalajara. Cruz Azul, their form, Guadalajara is where Guadalajara is, especially after their the international break, which a lot of fans are just like, this is what happens. Tigres is Club America, which are always good games. Tigres not having the greatest of season, Club America, but those games are definitely a lot of fun. Toluca Monterrey, Querétaro Santos, and Club Tijuana Mazatlan, and Pachuca Puebla. This is where I think the calendar, if you remember at the beginning of the year, we were like, dude, this is going to be boring, but look at the matchups now. And from what Adriana tells us, because she has inside knowledge in calendars, it was all, it was supposed to be this way.
Yeah.
The most interesting games are going to be toward the middle and toward the end of the season.
And I'm just putting it out here now. I think Tigres are going to get if you can call it a surprise win over America. And then this is now when they're going to start to look like Tigres. If León are now looking like León, well, this is when Tigres are going to start to look like Tigres, and they're going to start to slowly climb up the league table against the big teams too. Yeah, against, and they go up against the big teams too. Yeah,
get on those betting sites. Cesar is saying Tigres this weekend, and make some money off the Cesar pick of the week.
Cesar pick of the week. Is that sponsored by DraftKings? Use sponsor code at Max Soccer Show to get 10% off your next.
Do you know that Caliente, you get the first 200 pesos? Or I don't know. We see those ads.
Yeah, right.
We can't play. We're in the U.S.
Well, in San Diego, you can actually just get Xolos games. Not too far.
Xolos games and do it, right? I think. Yeah. Actually, people can play in like other states. I had a friend, and not necessarily a friend. I consider him a friend now, but I've actually met him on Twitter, and we've been friends. And he saw me at a game, and then he's like, "Hey man, if you ever want me to put some bets in, I have the casino here." And I'm like, yeah, León against Puebla. We should be able to beat them that first game. $200. That's when León lost like the very first game of the season last week.
Oh no!
Playoffs. And I was like, that's what I get for betting.
Yeah, anyway. You probably shouldn't bet on Liga MX. It is very, very unpredictable. Unless if you turn that like on the flip side and be like, you chase those upsets and then you become a millionaire or something. I don't know. Don't listen to our financial advice.
TCK to end. Does Chivas U23 players doing well make Vucevic look worse? I mean, you got to check out what the opposition was that Antuna was going circles around. Like it was Haiti.
Yeah.
I mean, no, Dominican Republic. I'm sorry.
You're thinking CCL. You're thinking CCL. Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. So I'm just like, it's So I mean, well, I get it. I know the joke in there, right? We'll do that.
Yeah, and like I don't know, and for more information, check out Chivas del Norte podcast, where they definitely voice lots of their should we call it love for Vucetich, their unfiltered, unadulterated love for Vucetich and how he's a great manager. At least I think that's what they're saying. I'm not entirely sure. I'm just kidding.
Probably not. Probably not. All right, another Mexican soccer show. We had a lot of comments. I think we got to all of them. Right? Oh wait, the first one that we did.
Oh, you missed the first one.
León can beat Toronto Wednesday. Yes, I think they can. They're in a good form. As you saw, the MLS players playing in Tata Martino's over last week. MLS is in preseason. It's the excuse that we always hear they're in preseason, but hey, they don't want to change their schedule because son tercos. You know, it's like the metric system works. No, we're gonna go with this. The US, that's what they do, right? And they're gonna continue to do that, and it's their fault. So
it's gonna be close, but I'm definitely saying that León are gonna get the win here.
Yeah, they have something. León has something to prove from the embarrassment last year, so we'll do that. Once again, thank you again to production, which is Amy Lopez, and she works hard in putting all this together for us and makes it really easy. Cesar, thank you for joining.
Yeah, man.
And thank you to all. Hear your comments. We're going to continue to do these live as much as we can. There is the Liga MX previews that we also do. That Cesar does an amazing job. But yeah, really enjoy it. So we'll see these on Mondays on Monday Night Football. Try not to coincide with other podcasts, but we really appreciate all of you. Good night. See you all. Take care. Escalas, thanks a lot. Luis Valens, thanks a lot. And we'll see you on the next edition of the Mexican Soccer Show. Hasta la próxima.